I'm glad our guest is here because I've had the pleasure of speaking with her a few times on a couple other different shows. She's absolutely delightful. She's always been very kind and generous with her time. And guys, it is time now. We've got Kate Mulligan, Schmoedown manager of the.
Hi. Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you? How are you all?
I'm doing very well.
I realized when I lifted my arms, it looks like I'm not wearing anything.
We don't mind.
Hey, as long as you don't show it.
I should put my mask over my shoulder just to kill
Kate,
a little
we have all
decency.
seen you on your bed twerking during SCN Live.
Twerking in our face.
Or on my closet, or anywhere one might be able to twerk.
Yep. How are you doing? First of all, it's been a while. How are you doing here?
I'm doing okay. We are taking down Christmas decorations today, so so that's why I sort of look like I have the sheen of sweat on me, because I do. But it's a sad time this year. I really could have used Christmas lights. Honestly, if I wouldn't have been shunned by the neighbors, I feel like I might have done them all year long. until
I
this
don't
is over.
decorate at all, so I never have anything to worry about. It's awesome.
This is for most of my Christmas decorations.
Okay, well, it's time to put that away now.
I'm
And in my case, how can you put nothing away? Because I don't have a tree. Not even at Christmas time. I don't have room, and I'm not a Christmas person. My girlfriend wants to kill me. We have a 6-month little baby, right? And she's like, you must understand Christmas. I'm like, eh.
Well, first of all, how's that going? Sorry, Jay, I just took over the show.
No, you're cool.
Go ahead.
Let me introduce you, the people, to Luna Jane. Come on.
Hi, Luna. 6 months. Oh,
yeah, and she's tall. She's gonna be a tall, skinny one, and she's gonna be a curious one. Come here, big girl. Say hi to Mama Bear herself.
Hi.
Hi. Your first public appearance.
Hi, Luna.
That's always great.
Hi, Luna.
You seem very confused. It's like the black box thing, but on a computer. What's going on?
Oh my God, she's
all
so
right.
Look at all that hair she has too.
I know, and she's got she has a butt. She has both mommy's and daddy's butt.
Yes. She got it from her mama. She got it from her daddy.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
No, don't go out to smoke. It's not an excuse to smoke. I'm not having the kid the whole show. Oh, God damn it.
So what does
All
she
right.
think about the draft?
Yeah, Luna,
Well,
do you think Dan Murrell's gonna go to the dungeon or to the suspects? Luna.
She's gonna reserve her opinion. But might as well. She's gonna be guest on a show because right now the girlfriend's going outside. All right.
Good. You know what? Mama needs a break. You got to give Mama that break. You're not gonna hear me say get that baby off the screen, give her back to no. You give that mama her break.
Yeah, not as good as pays dues.
Yeah.
All right.
I do have want to get into some Schmoedown stuff with you, Kate. Now we were first introduced to you via Collider Live, then SCN Live, then you became a manager in the Schmoedown.
Yes.
So I would imagine you built relationships with people before you joined the Schmoedown. And you've got 1 year, your first year under your belt as manager, and now we're going into the second year.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if you could talk a little bit about the difficulty, perhaps, of your decision making here. That you need to maybe put some personal friendships aside, maybe some people you would want with you, but it's now about the competition. And as it's been dubbed, it is war. How has that been difficult for you? What's that been like this off season?
Well, it's a great question, Jay. I mean that. Last year I sort of thrust into the thing, and I didn't have. I didn't. I sort of was like, well, I'm doing this. It wasn't like a favor. Oh, she's so cute. It wasn't like a favor to Christian, but he was just like, this thing's happening, and Grayson, and so I was sort of like, okay, like it sounds great, and like I love this community. Let's get deeper into it. But I wasn't like, I'm going to be the best manager. I'm going to really score some points. And I felt like I drafted so well last year, and I loved every every single person that was on the faction, even if like, you know, people forget Alex Marzonia was on the faction. He just never got a chance to play. And I think, you know, COVID had a lot to do with that, obviously, because we would have had way more matches, I feel like, you know, and it sort of got relegated down to singles tournaments and number one contender matches, basically. But I love them all, but also, and I think I did spend a lot of time being like, okay, well, Brandon Hanna has had a match this year. Saul's my other IG guy. I've got to get Saul into the tournament. And that obviously caused a stir because I was like, I want everybody to play. For the record, I still stand by that decision because I believe in Saul so much. I mean, Saul, I'm telling you, I'm Saul's number one fan because that guy, not only can he cut a promo, and not only does he have the funniest personality on the planet and is entertaining, but like he works and he knows stuff. And if you go back and watch that Brandon Hanna Saul match, like that's, you could see like that's basically when I really start caring because I was like, this is amazing. I was so proud of it. I was like, the only way I could have been happier about how you did today is if there had been a W next to it. Like I'm so proud of, like I was so proud of him.
All right. By the way, baby Luna Jade has to say bye-bye.
Oh, bye-bye, Luna.
All right.
Oh, she's so happy to see Mama. Bye, Mama.
And apparently the microphone was the most interesting thing on our planet. She's like,
yes, get that mic. You got a problem there if she wants to be talking in the mics. The life of a performer. But this season, I'll tell you what, this season I definitely... I just can't worry about people's feelings. I can't worry about, because at the end of the day, like everybody wants the same thing, which is like everybody wants to win, everybody wants to be faction, everyone wants to hold a belt. So like I have to make decisions, not worrying about people's feelings, but like what do I think is going to get the win? What do I think is going to make us the best faction? And the way that has looked and I'm sure I'm not giving you any information you don't know, is people knew that I wasn't locking any of my den players until I tried some people outside our faction. You know, like I was trying to get it's like public. Like I was trying for Bateman so hard for a while. And you know, and I'm sure that if I had been on the den, I'd be like, what an asshole. Like what, you know, but I think I then had a meeting with all of the den mates to sort of explain my strategy and what I was doing. And I'm like, I know this probably feels awful, but like, I feel like we got to aim there because Bateman's guaranteed matches and Bateman's held a belt and, you know, and I think everybody sort of understood it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were hurt feelings about the way I went over, did that. And, you know, it's, to me, I don't mean it personally, but I'm sure it could be taken personally. And I think every manager is going through that. Like, you know, people, you know, you have to lock 3 people. Like if you're Winston, who do you lock?
Yeah.
Like you've got 5 people to lock as far as I'm concerned. Like whoever you let go, that's, I mean, like you obviously retain Chandru. Like that's a given. But then like, I'm not going to let Liz Shannon Miller go. I'm not going to let Ace go. I'm not going to let Paul Oyama go. And I'm not going to let Lon Harris go. He has to let 2 of those people go into the draft. And like that, I'm sure starts off with like a bad taste in your mouth. For somebody that's like, I wasn't one of your top 3. Like what?
Right.
So I feel like Tom is not playing next year right now. So that was easy. I didn't have to make that decision. But I think, you know, whoever I decide to go with, it, you know, everyone else is going to feel really shitty. Like it's, you know, if they had been on the den previously, but also I may be, you know, going elsewhere with people too. But no matter what, it's just like, I hate making people feel shitty. And this is like, that's what this season is.
It's war.
It's war.
Yeah. And in war, emotion has no place.
Yeah. You gotta stay cool and shoot. Right.
Yeah. All right.
It's nice to meet you.
I know, it's so nice to meet you, Double D.
I'm really sad that you're not doing the Chicago accent anymore because I'm from Chicago. So in hopes to get that back, I got you some deep dish.
Oh God, is it Lou's or Gino's or Giordano's?
Because we're not sponsored.
Oh.
How do I get this store? What do you mean I have to do it online? You're not gonna give me her address, or you could. No, we'll figure this out later. We'll figure this out later. So,
I love it. I love it, Double D. Thank you for the effort.
so my first question is this is your first season. Well, this was your first season as manager. So, what were some of the best moments as manager for this season?
I think when I sort of realized I loved being in person. And actually some of my worst managing moments happened then, but I loved being in person. And that was only the first four, like I had 4 matches in one day that got shot in person. And that day it was like, that was the Festival Darlings day, but it was also the day that like Ben Goddard got introduced to the league. And I loved being there in person. I loved being able to like hug my players after something great happened. I really enjoyed the draft last year where, and I know that's such a weird thing to say, that was a good moment as a manager, but that was sort of when I was like, I sort of drew my line in the sand with Christian of like, I mean, he's been searching for a way since the draft to get rid of that accent. I mean, you bring up the accent, but after I said, he's like, stop the accent. And then the second time I go up, I go, Christian said to stop the accent. I don't think so, whatever it was. And I sort of was like, oh, like I can take some ownership of this character. I can take some ownership of the team. He's still my boss and he's still the creative director. And like, I have to pivot when he says to pivot, but I sort of loved that. Like I pushed back on it. And then he was like, okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, let's make it work for us. And like, then that was then he built the net scene for Grace and I loved being able to do scenes with people in person. And that has been so hard because, the shooting a promo by yourself in your home the promos were the bane of my existence. And like, going back and forth with Shannon was fun. Like I enjoyed that. Like, but I don't know. It was just like, I have to come up with something to say by myself, like not playing off of anybody. Like it just, it was so fun to do those in studios. So best moments, sorry, I'm not even answering the question. I'm just talking in circles.
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah. Best moment, I love the in-person stuff. And I also have to say like, any moment when I could, when I got to make a decision that I believed in and got to stick by it, including the Saul decision. And yeah, I mean, it was like moments where I sort of felt like I was finding my footing, and I had a lot of fun shooting that last scene of the season too.
Yeah.
Which by the way, afterwards, so Kevin Smith was they were on the thing he was like in backstage of the StreamYards. Yeah. And afterwards he was like, what just happened? And he was like, wait, that was acting? And I was like, yes.
That's great.
And it's so funny because my own husband says to me afterwards, like later in the day, he's like, do you want to talk? And I was like, about what? He's like, just something like work, like maybe you should get in a fight with Christian. And I was like, did I get in a fight with Christian? What? Oh, no, that was acting. He was genuinely like, how lightly do I need to tread around this woman? I heard her screaming in the office.
Maybe we'll get the Flirt and Flouse and Kate cameo in a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah. No, just a Flirt and Flouse, I think. I don't think he was. I mean, Brett, the way those two, that's probably my other favorite moment of the season, is seeing Brett just do bits with a legend. Like the way that Kevin Smith played along with him was like, oh my God, we don't deserve either of these humans. Oh, it was so fun.
I mean, I was excited and I was like, she's like, what's happening?
Yeah. Oh my God. That was a great moment. And I know Brett was like, I didn't want to lose that badly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know, but also like Brett and I are so close now. Like when he spun that wheel, and I was like, I really thought, and in my head I was like, I really think you should stay with the first spin. And he's like, I think I'll spin again. He got the rock, and I was like, that could have gone better. Like starting to break character because I was like, there's no way he knows any of this. The Tooth Fairy will follow him forever.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that, that you also didn't have like the worst on the online promo game either, because I think one of my favorite bits that were done was you passing like the like sanitary wipes through the screen to a competitor. And just the amount of setup that takes is more than enough to make it funny, and I really appreciated that personally.
Thank you. That was Sean Sullivan.
To touch on that and to stay within the Schmoedown, like, what were your favorite scenes to shoot within the promo thing, whether it be with another manager that you're competing against or with one of your competitors? That was just a lot of fun.
So there was actually, I shot a promo for the Brett and Kevin Smith match. I was not instructed that I needed to shoot a promo for Zaflirt and Flaus versus Smith. I knew that it was going to be Zaflirt and Flaus, but it was going to be a last minute reveal. So I thought my promo was supposed to be for Brett. So God bless Nerd Chronic. Eric was like, I'm so sorry I can't use your promo. I just wanted to, I was like, he took the time to tell me he couldn't use it. I'm like, oh, that's my bad. You know, like I thought it was a secret. No problem, whatever. But that is a promo you'll never get to see. But it was like the most. I mean, like I sent it to Brett, and I was like, "Is this okay?" But it was basically, I was like, "Brett? Oh yeah, no, he's seen a movie." Like it was the most like demeaning. It was not. I was like, I mean, I'll tell you what, he'll be funny when he loses. Like it was just like that was like a very fun one to do. And then Paul Preston and Sean Sullivan are two people who love to cut a good promo. So like Sean and I, we like talked for an hour one night trying to figure it out. Well, what color wipes do you have? And all right, so let's practice. If I hand it with my right hand, do you pick it? Like what side of the screen is it for you? Like we had to figure it all out. And then I think we ultimately decided it would be funny if it changed colors, but I can't remember if it ended up being the same or not, but like we looked for the same. It was like that one was work, and that was like still early on in the season where we're like, we're not going to be doing distance forever. I was like, but then eventually it just became a thing. It was like, cut a promo. Promos are due by the match today. And we're like, oh, and like, you know, so early on were like my favorite. I also had a run of them where I was like, hey, I'm outside. Hey, it's me. I'm outside Shannon's house. And I was just like outside of a tent. And then I was playing Roxy after that, and I was like, "Hey, it's me. It's Roxy. I'm at Roxy's house," and I was in my kid's playhouse. And then the third beat of that, and I can't even believe I'm telling this publicly. The third beat of that was I was in a garbage can, and I came out, and I was like, "Hey, I'm at Robert Meyer Burnett's house." But then
it would apply to the Lon Harris right now, though.
Well, I'll tell you what. Then the thing happened with Robert Meyer Burnett, and I was like, "Pull the promo. It's because it's gonna feel like I did that in a loaded." But it was just the progression of the matches I had. It had nothing to do with him. It was just like a bit. So I was like, "Pull the promo. We can't see the promo." So you're gonna see there's like a lot of matches. You're like, there was no promo from Kate. One of them was because I cut it for Zaflirt and Flaus, or didn't cut it for Zaflirt and Flaus, and one of them was because I was like, pull it. But yeah, I mean, it was yeah, it would have been bad. I think it would have been felt way. I was like, I think it's going to feel too loaded. I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah, you know, so it is what it is. You know, you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
So it just ended up that way. It's just so yeah. That was a smart thing to do.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. But that was, I think probably those are early ones, like what you're talking about, Daniel, with the Lysol wipes. Those were probably my favorite. And then also when Shannon and I had like, it wasn't quite like, it wasn't like a official promos, but it was like Christian had us do like a little Twitter war, like Instagram. I forget what it was, but it was like when she was like, your breath stinks, your breath stinks. And then like, I like, in response, like took out two of my husband's guitars and like put an egg, like a shaker egg on my head, and was like, "You need to win. You should win."
What did I miss? I go away for 5 seconds, and I just see Kate going, "Yeah."
just describing myself.
It's like
Yeah,
back to alternate reality of just like a different Kate. Like, okay, this one's not on her meds.
That's true. But yeah, Shannon and I had so much, and then she would like, it would hit the internet, and I'd like text her and be like, "Oh my God, you're so funny," and then she'd be like, "I'm dying right now. How did you up me like that?" So we would go back and forth after. I loved that. I loved doing those with her. She's just a peach and so much fun. But also, I'll probably say mean things about her in character for the rest of the season. Yeah, she's the worst.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
All right. So my next question is, you kind of alluded to this beforehand, that, you know, if you, first of all, you know, not every birdie can go be first place, but my philosophy is if you can't be in first, the thing is not to be in last place. And fortunately, you didn't come in last place. You were in fifth place, I believe.
Whatever's third from the bottom. I got the third draft pick is all I know.
Now you kind of alluded to before, but what were some of the mistakes you made this season, and how will you change that for next season?
I think, you know, I have a real knowledge deficit when it comes to films. So like, and Christian has always been like very supportive of that. He's like, you don't need to. You do good character work. You're a person that people can either get behind or get against. And he's like, so just manage these people, just help these people out. But like, I feel like that deficit has hurt me. In particular, I think the thing I feel the absolute worst about is in the match with Tom versus Jader. I think it was versus Jader, when the question was, who wrote, oh my God, Sin City? And Tom had 3 answers. Frank Miller, Robert Rodriguez, or who directed? It was and Quentin Tarantino. And Jader had just Robert Rodriguez. And they took both answers. And Tom goes, he didn't say them all in character. And I should have had the knowledge. And I was like, and so I wrote to him in the private chat, do you want me to challenge? And he didn't see it because like the private, I mean, like he's in the moment. And it should have been challenged. Jader, and I love Jader, but it should have been challenged because on IMDb, it does say Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller. And then like one of them is just like, if they didn't get the third, that's fine, but he should have had at least 2 of those 3 according to how it's listed. And they accept it. And I was like, this is so weird. They're accepting it. I guess maybe like they accepted both. So it must be up for debate. It must be like, you know, I just, for whatever reason, if I had known the film myself, or if I had known that myself, but part of the problem is that like the managers are not playing, because if we played, we wouldn't be any good. So like that, I don't think that that's exclusive to me, but something I realized is that like I needed to have, and Tom and I had a code when he wants me to challenge something. I needed to set that up. I needed to have like, all right, here are the reasons why you should break character, or in character, this is what you'll say if you want me to challenge something. Because then when Tom finally said, yeah, like he did later, like 2 questions down the line, said that should be a challenge. Then Courtney, who's like running the thing, I said, I wrote challenge, and she goes, it's too late. And I was like, you could see I was having this conversation. So then it turned into this whole thing where I felt so bad for Tom, because then I'm texting with Tom, I'm doing the private chat with Tom. And in the middle of that, he misses the next question. He like doesn't hear it. And he ends up winning the match. It all went fine. But like, I could see that he completely got deflated because I'm talking to him while a question's being asked. And then they asked him to like, then I'm like, let me in. And they're like, what's going on? And like Mark Ellis got very frustrated with me, but I was like, I have to advocate for my guy. This is totally unfair because I was talking to him. Can we get another question? I'm sorry to Jay, whatever. But I'm like, I'm talking to him about this challenge that was supposed to happen. And I'm like, fighting. And Mark's like, well, maybe we can do another question. He was trying to figure it out. And then they're like, no, we can't do another question. All right, so let's take it again. Can we recut you giving the wrong answer? And I could see Tom deflate. I was like, they're gonna not only, and I was like, so then I was like, let me back in. I was like, I'm not okay with this. It's totally humiliating that he misses this and you're gonna make him retape him missing it. I was like, I'm not okay. Give me a second here. They're like, there's no precedent to give you a second. I'm like, well, I'm asking for a timeout. And I got to tell you, Jader was so chill about that all. He was such a cool customer about that. And I would have, if Jader was my player, I would have done the same thing. But he wasn't like, you're breaking the flow, lady. But I could tell that, like, and it was all because it was my actions. My player hadn't done anything wrong. It was my actions. I didn't know he wanted the challenge. I'm talking to him while the next question's being read in the private chat because he's saying, yeah, that should have been a challenge. That is the sort of thing that I have to take away is like, my players and I need to, being online distance is not an excuse. We have to talk about the stuff in advance. What do you need to have happen if you want a challenge? What are you going to say? What are the times that we feel like it's okay to break character? What stuff can come into the match and what stuff can't? That's the sort of thing. I just didn't set up parameters with my players that way. And I think that would have helped that completely because
and you see that this is what, like, a lot of people I see, like, oh, like, manager's not hard. You just have to speak and that's all. The structure needed to have a perfect chemistry between, players and manager is not just run off and do your thing, boy. No, it's, you have to have a plan. You have to run on scenarios. You have to, know your player, like if they're doing ticks and, anything, you have to go in and out and think about it in advance. And that requires a lot of mental energy and willing to be able to establish that, right?
Yeah, it does. And I also feel like it wasn't as much the case with Tom. I mean, me seeing him deflate and like knowing that I'd been the cause of that he had to now recut his mistake because it was an absurd mistake. It was like, who starred and blah, blah, blah. And he like answered Will Ferrell. I mean, it was something that he would have never answered. It would be like, name a character from Sesame Street. And he said Will Ferrell. I mean, it was something he would have never answered. And I had to sort of know, like, we need to put, like, I needed to have him at least see me fight for him, even if I got shut down, even if Mark Ellis yelled at me. I needed him to know I was taking accountability for the mistake that I had. I did have his back. I caused that mess up. I was sorry, and I was going to fight for him. And that, I think, was enough to make him get his head. Because the truth is, when the players have had to fight these battles themselves, I think it's so much harder to get yourself out of that space. You think like I was in a bad space after that match for a while. And Mark Ellis ended up calling me and apologizing about what happened. And he was like, what happened had nothing to do with you. It was the last night's match. There was been a challenge and we had a great talk and like nobody takes accountability like Mark Ellis. But that being said, in regards to that time with Tom, it was like, I just feel like the players, like if they ever have to like navigate, like if he had to be in charge of challenges and then he had to have the fight and then he has to say, well, this isn't then there's no way that you can then go like, all right, I'm ready to answer questions now. So I think the manager's role really is to like sort of fall on the sword and like take on that like energy, because when anger gets into the game because this or that, that's when like you just don't answer, you don't play as well. So I think like the manager's role is definitely about like also managing the player, like figuring out what the player needs, like emotionally or whatever, but also like having the battles so that they can just stay cool and like in the game. And I think that's something that, depending on whoever I get, I'm going to have to relearn that with people as well.
Oh, that's what life is. Learning and advancing and taking the imperfections and putting into, something solid and I can't speak. All right.
no, that's exactly it.
But that being said, I'm curious. I'm the rebel of the gang. Okay. I'm going to go out of Schmoedown. Maybe quick because we're slightly out of time soon. So I'm just curious. What is your top gut-busting moments from SCN you've been on? So a moment you think right now and it still like cracks you up and you can't stop laughing.
I think there was like some in studio the Bonnie when Christian was crying and was wiping his glasses, like was wiping his eyes from behind his glasses when he was like, Bonnie's probably taking a dump. And I don't know, I can't explain why we thought that was so funny. But then it turns out she was just playing with his kids in the backyard. I mean, it was like, but it was so funny, but also honestly, Brett Sheridan, like there are so many things he does. Like he'll be like when he doesn't understand something, and he'll be like, yeah, or like he did it the other day with Kaiser. He's like, yeah, I think Kaiser was distracted and wasn't listening. Why did you say the question again? And I just know it's because Brett can make me laugh so hard, and I feel like there was just times when he. I think also like very classic moment too is the Mark Ellis balls thing, when I was like, oh yeah, you still gotta suck your husband's balls, and Kristen like gives me a high five, and like Ben Goddard's in the corner like thumbs up, and then Mark Ellis goes balls, and like that's the sound right now.
Yeah.
We just had I just feel like those in studio moments, nothing could possibly compare with the chemistry of being in a room and being able to give and take, like to actually vibe off of each other instead of, oh, no, you go. No. Like, so I feel like my most favorite stuff really did happen in studio, and also like one of the first SENs ever was that Tyrannosaurus Rex thing when we, made fun of Christian for having a true freak out before the show and then being like, cool. He's like, hey, welcome back to SCN. I'm like, this is amazing because 2 seconds ago, this guy was, but yeah, and also like treadmill nug day, I feel like will live in infamy. He's like, yeah, I ate a nug off the treadmill. We're like,
oh my gosh,
what? But yeah, he's it's that in-person stuff I love.
Well, we are going to move on to our next segment here in a minute, but before we do that, speaking of SCN live, I got somebody, a special person who's going to call in here, wants to ask you a question, Kate.
Oh my gosh.
Should be calling in any second now.
Is this person a she?
It might be. I'm not sure.
They may not identify as that either.
Oh, okay. Are they a they? I'm happy with that.
I don't know.
It could be non-binary.
I gotta tell you, I found the greatest account that I'm following.
Hello, you are on Speaking of Schmoedown with Kate Mulligan. Who do we got here?
This is Kaylin Rose.
I knew it! Hi, honey!
Hi! How are you?
Good, how's the baby? Big baby now.
Yeah, she's a year and a half old now. She's doing really good. She's probably in there destroying something.
A year and a half old, that means she has tricked you into thinking about a second.
Yes.
They're so amazing at that age. You're like, they're their own person. I love them. I could do this again. She's tricked you.
That's exactly what she's doing. And we're like, she needs a sibling.
She does.
Yeah, but so I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Related to the Schmoedown,
yes.
Give us the behind the scenes scoop of what exactly happened that you decided that you're going to drop the character.
Christian hates that I answer this honestly. He would rather that I do a little more character work on these behind the scenes things. I think Christian realized I was not going to be taken serious in free agency. I would not be a contender for any big players if I kept that character up, because I think I was sort of seen as a joke, and I didn't do the worst in the Schmoedown. Like Sam Levine and Kaiser finished behind me, but I do think that I think that there was concern that it had run its course, and also the truth that Grace and I get along. I mean, we adore each other. But I will say that I think she's moving on to do some other stuff, and I just think we wanted to sort of neatly tie up you got to do the accent. You're going to piss off the nerds in the Facebook group, which was the first scene, and then me sort of asserting myself. I think Christian was sort of like, we got to give you wings, and I think there maybe would have been a way to do that, like give me wings with having me keep the accent and the fanny pack, but I think it would have just been. It would have been, it's almost like it's better to do a clean break from the character instead of being like, I still wear the fanny pack and talk like this, but now I'm smart. I think that would have been harder. So I think it was a good choice, and it did not come from me. I think I made that decision initially because my comfort level is in the comedy zone, and especially not having any clue about what Schmoedown really was going to require of me. I felt like, well, I'm not going to be good at it, so I might as well be funny at it. And I think I can be good at it, and I think I can have a really good upcoming season, and I don't necessarily have to rely on the comedy aspect of it. And I think Christian's just pushing me to grow in that way. As much as I'm like, oh, I'm gonna miss her. You know, like she wore one outfit and wore heavy, just like Mimi from the Drew Carey show, eye makeup, like, and the fanny pack. Although there were a couple of times I'm like, God, where's the pack? Where's the pack? Like I couldn't find it at times. But I, at the same time, like it's pushing me out of my comfort zone, and you know, it's going to be a different season for everybody. So it's going to be a different season for me too.
Well, I think you had to ditch the fanny pack anyway because they're coming back into style, oddly enough, and she would have been too stylish.
You know what's so funny, Kaylin? The fanny packs, by the way, those are legitimate. Like it is mine because I wore it. I wear them. I truly, I'm not kidding you. I actually have been. I brought Ben Goddard a birthday gift. We did like a distance drop off, and I was like, well, now you know I really wear a fanny pack. Like I truly showed up. I have like a Disneyland fanny pack, which has been amazing in the pandemic because I can be hands free. I don't have to put my purse in a cart. I just have it on my waist.
I got a quick follow-up to that. I'm sorry, Kaylin. I have to ask this because you're known for pulling things out of that fanny pack to give to people. Has there been anything you've wanted to put in there that is not fit that you've tried to fit in there to give to someone?
I've tried a whole Chicago pizza. That was sort of like there was certain things that that was part of like the bit. I forget what promo it was. It might have been the Lysol wipes where I just had it like sticking out. There was one. God, what? Oh, it might have been. There was I maybe had to go back and recut it, but like I pulled a lightsaber out once, but it was like Mary Poppins style. Like you couldn't really see. Like it was like I was like, oh, and I like showed but a lot. You know, the problem is that like if I'm shooting these promos, it means that my husband's with the kids, so I have to shoot myself, so I can't like get different angles and stuff. So for whatever reason, that one didn't end up working. I think. But yeah, I always have thought like the funniest. I'll tell you what, there have been things that I wanted to pull out that I'm like, oh, it's a kid show. I can't. Like there have been times that I was like,
give us an example because this is not necessarily. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind if kids watch it, but it's not quote unquote a kid show. So.
Right. No, I would be like, like if I was cutting a promo against Chandru, I would be like, oh, I got something for you in the fanny pack. You know what I mean? I would have like pulled that out of the fanny pack, or like even a note or something that would say like, go fuck yourself. Oh, sorry, I don't know how that got in there. Oh, here's like, you know, stuff like that. I wanted to be more profane about it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like pulling out my middle finger was one that I wanted to do multiple times. But I don't know why I used Chandru as an example. I only had to cut a promo once, and it was not. I gave him a dum-dum, I think.
So is that a hidden message that we should not expect you trying to get Chandru?
I'm pretty sure if Winston doesn't like Chandru, we can all admit Winston's a dum-dum himself. So I don't think Chandru's going to be available.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think Chandru will be available.
Yeah.
But Kaylin, thank you for calling in and saying hello to Kate. I knew that you would both enjoy it. So.
You know we love each other, Jay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm so glad I got to talk to you, Kate. Oh, and Pookie says hi.
Hello.
Pookie.
Pookie, I miss Pookie. Pookie, nobody else's husband's my stand now. Pookie, I need you back in my life.
All right. Hey, thank you also, Kaylin, for calling in. Really appreciate it. And I will talk to you later, Kaylin.
Bye.
Bye. And for those of you who maybe lost as to who that is and why any of that mattered. Kaylin was my original co-host on SCN Afterlive and SCN Live After Show I used to do. She was also one of 4 hosts on a Collider Live After Show we used to do, which is where we first met Kate. So yeah, it's been over a year ago since we first had you on a show, and like I said when you came on, you've always been very gracious and generous with your time.
Oh,
I really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate you guys caring to talk to me because
it's an honor.
Oh,
you made me pee on myself more times than I would want to admit. So, hey.
That's
my life
comes in handy. The dick bib never fails. I mean, technically, if you watch the league, it's called the P bib, but I just think the dick bib sounds better. But yeah, Taco
of course you would
from the league.
How good was that show? That show was
so good.
Mean, I can't rewatch it without being like angry that Steve Ranazizi lied about being in the towers on September 11th, but at the same time, I'm like, he's really good in the show. Yep. And Taco, dude, John LaJoy is like that. Like, I'm like, I don't think that guy's acting.
No. He's
a proper freak show.
Yeah, he's from mine and Frenchie's hometown of Montreal, and he's actually French speaking and second language English, and like he's a musician as well. If you go look him up on YouTube, he makes some real terrible songs about. In the pop genre, but all vulgar.
About how men are smart and women are stupid, I believe, is one of the songs I've seen on there.
Like, what's his name as an artist? I forget. I heard a podcast with him once. What is he? Does he just go by Jean LaJoy?
Yeah, just Jean LaJoy.
Oh, I for some reason thought, okay.
Why are we talking about Jean LaJoy? Okay.
Because he's in the guild.
Because we got 2 French Canadians on here.
That's right.
Why.
But no, I'm sorry. He's from Montreal. He's not French, okay? I'm French. How can I say this? Very Irish more than French, right?
I don't know. It's Canada, man. I don't know what goes on up there. It's just fucking cold. That's all I know.
I'm the true French Canadian.
There you go. Now I can place that accent. Oh my God. You just like made your accent thicker when you're like, I'm the true French Canadian.
Oh no. I can really talk like a real Quebecois that's out of the Montreal, and it's like a very, we have like 2 cows as the neighbors, and we do the poutine in our backyard. That's the real Quebecois accent.
I'm the opposite, but when I'm speaking French.
Oh my gosh!
You guys can both be Schmoedown managers.
It would be a dream of mine. I'm not a player. I'm a manager.
There you go. I like it. You know, it's funny this year. I don't know if it's been announced to the public yet, and I don't think Christian would mind me announcing it. But every manager has to get an assistant manager this year, and it cannot be a player. It cannot be anybody. Wow. And I don't think there's like they have to be somehow loosely connected. So it has like, I might be able to see if, Ken Knapsack's not a manager this year, but like maybe he would step in for me as assistant manager, but we actually have to declare it. I think by the draft, we have to say who our assistant manager will be.
I've actually thought about this, and you specifically, Emma Fife is who I've thought of as your assistant.
You know what? That's a great thought.
And she's original Den as well, correct? So
she's the reason I'm even the manager is because she didn't want to do it, and she like pulled out at the last minute. Not in a bad way. I mean, she just look at her. Her career is massive. Like she's she's busy. But yeah, that's a great thought because even if it, yeah, that's a great thought. Thank you, Jay.
You're very welcome.
I will take that kernel with me.
All right, and if that happens, then be sure to give me credit, please.
I sure will.
Thank you very much, Kate, for joining us. It's been absolutely amazing and awesome to talk to you again. And it's the second time out of a few times that I've actually got to see you.
I know. I like it. Well, thank you all, Daniel, Frenchie, Double D. So nice to meet you all. Thank you for the pizza, Double D. I'll send the PO box where you can send it to.
Good to know.
Bonsoir.
Excellent. Have a great day, Kate. Thank you, and good luck this season.
Merci beaucoup.
Ça fait plaisir, ma chère. Puis bonne soirée. Puis à la prochaine.
He said rapey. I don't know what that means.
That being said,
Oh my gosh. Oh, that was great. Kate Mulligan, everybody. She's just always been nothing but an absolute delight and pleasure. You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.